Hello and good evening. Oh, this is a very sad day actually for me, because obviously you saw, well, if you're a football lover like me, you saw that Germany lost its game against South Korea and now is out of the World Championship. I didn't mean actually to talk about this. Yeah, thanks a lot, Globo. Therefore, I got this. If you want to see, I'm having a, I don't know how this is called in English. It's in German you would say Krug mit einem Deckel, and it's beer in it, and I'm trying to drown my my frustration, you know, because it's been quite a frustrating experience, this World Championship. So children, don't do this at home, please, because this is bad, and it's not just good because this strange guy on the radio said it is. It is not. It's utter frustration that comes out of this, and yeah. But this is not a football show. It is a show about open source, and this is the Utopian Open Source Radio show that we are conducting at. I'm still a bit disappointed though, so this may or may not interfere in what I'm telling. Yeah, soccer sucks today, Globo. You got it. Fumble, if you want to say. There is no fumble in football, but, well, if there would be a fumble in football, then, well, in soccer, then it would be this German thingy. On the other hand side, I heard from today from a Spanish colleague that there is a kind of curse about the last world champion that is entering the next tournament, and it's obviously yeah, it was one big fumble, and it's the curse that the world champion is thrown out in the group phase in the next tournament, like for sure, you know. This is like a law that it's going to happen, and it's yeah, football is coming home. Amos, this is funny because I have a small festivity out there in my garden where a lot of people are actually around now. Well, a lot of people have always left, but there are a lot of people, English people out there singing this song, "Football's Coming Home," and you know, in the end, I would really be happy if football would be coming home. Yeah, and this Swedes beat Mexico 3-0. Okay, but this still is no football show. It's a show about open source software and about Utopian and about a lot of other things. So just forget all the things that I was saying about the World Championship. What you also might have noticed is that Texlat is not around yet. She has been on the road quite recently, and she's going to be there soon, I think, because without her I'm not yet complete in the journey for this show. Well, what's going to happen today? We again have a 2-hour show of live radio coming to you about open source software. Yeah, exactly, Bucky. This is what she wrote. We got 2 hours of open source software show coming on now, and just I see that a lot of people still don't have got the new starting date that we are having for this show, which is at 6 UTC. Formerly it was 7 UTC. Now it is 6 UTC, 1 hour earlier. So this is always where it's going to start now, because we are doing a 2-hour show. So what are we going to do today? We will have Jay Ringo coming up with Gridcoin. He was already on air last week talking a bit about Gridcoin, talking about how we as a people can support the chase for computational power, or how we can donate our computational power to scientific projects like the SETI project, which is maybe the most renowned out of this environment, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And there are a lot of other projects you can support with your computational power, like there is this the Large Hadron Collider that you can support by crunching data for their scientific courses. And there is, for instance, the Milky Way project, where you can try to, or you can be part of the cartography in a 3D way of our local Milky Way. But there are like cancer research projects, like water welling projects, like a lot of them that you can support with your computational power. And for sure, Charingo is going to talk about that in the second part of the show. In the first part of the show, it is Tensor coming up again, because he was really the one where, well, you know, those who have been present in our premiere, there was Diego coming along, Ilya, Diego, the founder of Utopian. And, you know, he was kind of getting into the mood of talking, and it was super interesting what he had to talk. He was revealing his youth acting career to all of us, and it was amazing. So we were hitting the wall of being at the end of the show quite early, and we still had Tensor coming along, telling about Dart and Flutter and all his cool video tutorials that he's doing right now, but there was simply too little time for him to tell all the things that he's doing and to get him into the right picture. So he was always top of my list of being the one being invited into the show, because we seriously had yeah, exactly, Bucky, exactly. Because we seriously had too less time to talk about all the things that he's currently doing in the open source field. And yeah, I was really feeling bad, because we were hitting the wall quite early in this show. And so I'm super happy. Yeah, well, you are not sure, but obviously Bucky and me are sure that you are having a lot of things on the go. So let's see who's right in the end. So Tensor was always on the top of my list to come back, to be re-invited into this show, to talk a bit more about the things that are currently ongoing. And this is what happened. So this is the first show that we are having a bit time. Hi, Prepper Veteran. This is the first time that we are having a bit open space to re-invite people. And like I said, Tensor was on the top of my list, because he was quite, yeah, well, Diego was talking a lot, let's say it like this. And on the other hand side, then somebody had to talk less. And this obviously was Tensor. And I'm bad about that. So we're going to make up for this right now in about 20 minutes into the show. Yeah, Bucky, you know, you have been present. And yeah, Diego was quite somehow soaking up the show, turning into a Diego show, which was, yeah, I was searching for the mute button for a long time, but it was kind of a Diego show, the first one, and it's perfect, because in the end this is Utopian Open Source Radio, so it features his name already, and in the end he was telling a lot of very interesting stuff. So it was quite okay. On the other hand side, he took a lot of time away that I would have liked to talk to Tenzo as well. So now we can make up for that. Normally, if everything would go the correct way, this would be the right time to hand over to Ilana and say that now it's time for her open source news. But since we are super professional, we're just going on with our utopian content. And as you may have seen, or you may have not seen, there's always coming on every week a utopian top of the pops. I like to say it's top of the pops. People like to tell me that obviously this is wrong, but this is the only way that I really can remember this. It should have been coming on. Thanks a lot, Bucky, for telling me that it's best of Utopian. In the end, this is kind of Utopian at its best. The best contributions from you. It's not about us. It's not about Utopian itself. It's not about, I don't know, community managers, moderators, or whatever, people of Utopian, Diego, SPOM, however they are called. It's about you. It's about the best contributions that we have reached. And the bad thing is that we are not having this already posted for this week. The good thing is that on the other hand side, there has not been an accident or anything. It's just all the numbers are not yet done. We are still working on the contribution, and we will push it out as soon as we can get it. On the other hand side, if you are interested in numbers, there are a lot of statistics. I'm just posting the one from last week. In the chat. And I got a level up. Whee! I'm level 7 now. I own you. Well, I'm not. There are so many thousands of people that are... Yeah, Bucky, thanks a lot. Just don't laugh, okay? There are so many thousands of people better than me, obviously, in the level. But this is not the main issue right now. Bucky, can you tell me, or can you find out in the background when we are going to publish this, the new top of Utopian, while I'm going to talk about the old one? Because obviously there are a lot of statistics in there that are really worthwhile to read, because this is saying what we actually are doing from an Utopian point of view. We are supporting you, the contributors, with, at least in the last week, with 10,645 STU, which is Steam units, because we don't like to call it dollars, because this is obviously not true, because it's always a changing game in the equation between dollars and Steam backed dollars and whatever. So just let's stick to STU as a currency. And so Utopian distributed on a weekly basis about 10,000 STUs to all its contributors. And the highest payout in the week before has been 715 STU, with 237 votes received from our community. And this post was about particle physics. Yeah, well, what can we say? It's still very rewarding to act being part of the open source community, because as you can see in this posting, the average vote that Utopian.io was giving was worth at least 65.71 Steam units, which is okay. Thanks a lot, SPOM. Didn't know that. And we will exactly report the next one then on the week later on. So the top of Utopian will be has been moved to Thursday, so a day after the show that we are currently conducting. And in the end, this means that we are talking about the week before. Since we are on Wednesday, we have to talk about the week before. But this is not too bad, because in the end, it's not too much changing. The picture is quite stable in the way that we from a Utopian point of view are quite heavily supporting the contributions that open source software is getting over the possibility that we are currently having, since we do not have currently the own front end. Exactly, Tensor, you are completely right. We have an increase added in each category, and we have exponential rewards added. So in the end, we are going to yeah, exactly. So like SPOM said, by the way, if you don't know SPOM, he's going to take over, or he did already take over part of the operational duty that was lying with Diego by himself. So he was appointed. I don't know what role actually. Is there a title to your role, SPOM? Help me if there is one. But in the end, you are acting as an operational manager of Utopian. Yeah. Oh yeah. Amos, this is quite good. Big boss poem. I need to really be. Oh yeah. So I was not that wrong. It's called operational manager. And this is what SPOM is now doing. He's taking away a lot of the pain that currently has been sitting only with Diego. And exactly, this is what I was talking about next. There is, if you want to get to know SPOM, like the way you never have seen him before, he has done there was a feature of People of Utopian number 6, and this feature was about SPOM. And yeah, well, it's on the blockchain, so there is nothing you can do about it. So yeah, the question for me still is if SPOM is able to laugh. This is one of the basic questions that I'm still having. But maybe this remains as being one of the secrets of the 21st century. I seriously don't know. Yeah, so if you want to get to know SPOM, there is this article out there. I don't know. Oh yeah, you linked it completely, Bucky. Oh, you're perfect. So, oh, you do smile, really? This is. Oh, you did, Amos. I don't know. You're so much ahead of me. Still don't get it. But nevertheless, so one riddle of the 21st century is solved, and you were live here with me in the show. Obviously, SPOM is really able to smile and laugh. So now this is solved. We need to go for the next one. I think Stonehenge, or I don't know, Noth and Doth in Ireland. I don't know what else riddles are. Well, satire maybe, but this is what we are going to talk with Jay Ringo later on. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence that we can support, donating our computational power. Yeah, that's not too bad actually. And I'm sure they are out there somewhere sharing. I just don't know where. And obviously, this has been quite a hot question for all our cutting edge science that we are having out there. So just if you don't, well, you can either take a look at the thing, the people of Utopian that we just brought out with SPOM. It was 2 days ago, and we also are publishing our Utopian Weekly, where we are talking about the things that Utopian actually is doing right now. This is where we're, well, I don't know if you know that we brought back the translation program. We talked about it last week with about cool science, or Gianluca, how it's really called, from the Da Vinci Project or the Da Vinci Witness. And obviously translations are going great, and this is where all the interesting parts of what happens in Utopian, what happens with the contributions, how are the contributions scored, is the scoring changing, is the voting changing from the Utopian bot to the different contributions. This is where you all can get the latest information from. And if it's not in that post, we still have our own Discord going on. Maybe someone can post a Discord invite to the Utopian Discord that we're having. And you see, there are going to be even more news about translation. By the way, they have been searching for German translators, at least. This was what Gianluca was saying the last week. So any German translators out there still, at least last week, Da Vinci was searching for German translators. And you can join the Discord of Utopian.io as well in order to ask questions. If you don't know about, let's say, I don't know, how you should write up a contribution, or what exactly has to be the order of the text that you're going to get or that you need to enter, and all those things, for sure there are people going to be able to help you in the Discord, and we got our own website as well. So we do want that all of your contributions are evaluated fairly and are measured fairly from our bots with votings. Yeah, thanks a lot, Bucky, because this is the link to our Discord server. So this is it's not the only Discord server you can be. So this is just one additional Discord server. I don't know how in your Discord app it's looking like, but in mine it's quite crowded on the left side. And for sure, Utopian.io is one of the Discord servers to be. If you're thinking about, or if you're contributing about open source software and you want to help with that. That's basically this. Since Ilana is still not here, at least I don't see her. Tenza, are you up and running with your voice chat? Earth or Utopian Open Source Radio Show is calling for you, Tenza. Are you there? Oh no, we don't hear you, and it's not blinking green. So maybe you have muted yourself on your side and not within the Discord program. Yeah, no problem. Guys, this is live radio, and I'm really having a department festivity out there. So I have invited all my department to have barbecue in my garden. to celebrate the win of Germany, obviously. This didn't work out in the way that I thought. And so I was coming in quite hot into this show with tears in my eyes and still a full glass of beer. So all the voice checks, the pre-voice checks, that sorry. Yeah, Globo, this is what's happening. It's a sad day for me, you know. And I really have, I don't know, 40 people out there laughing at me because, well, some of them are German as well, so they are not laughing. The rest is laughing. Oh yeah, I'm throwing you back. Don't worry. Hey Tenza.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yes, and how loud you are.
I'm sorry about that.
Can you turn yourself back a bit, or I will, but just let's not do it on both ends. Talk to me, my dear. Hey Tenza, how are things in North America? You're in North America, no?
Yeah, I'm actually in Baltimore right now.
Oh yeah, so you're out of the thing. So there is no World Cup sadness because you lost in soccer somehow.
Some people follow it for sure. I'm not sure how many are Germany fans.
Well, I'm not sure how many non-Germans are Germany fans. I would guess one or two. But yeah, since the USA is not in and Canada is also not playing, things get quite.
Well, people still watch for sure, so I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. So Tenza, I'm super happy. So you're back and you're sounding great, and we're all set up now for having finally the ability and the possibility to talk to you about all the things that you have been doing with your video tutorials about Flutter and Dart and whatever else you are doing. So where do you want to start? It's since we are the ones, Diego put you kind of under stress, and me as well. So now you can really choose about what you want to talk first.
Well, let's see. Last time I kind of did like an advertisement for my content. I don't really want to do that again.
Well, why not? Because in the end, it was 5 minutes last time, as far as I can remember, no?
Yeah, that's true.
Because Diego was soaking up with his, I don't know, little boy acting career quite a lot.
Yeah, that was a fairly interesting story.
Yeah, it was really. But yeah, just let's start at this time again. What are you contributing currently to Utopian?
All right, for a background for anybody who doesn't know, I do video tutorials on various different technologies and programming languages. And I think I have about 80, 90 contributions to Utopian.
Oh yeah, I didn't count them, but they are quite many.
Most of them are in Flutter now, but prior to that, I've done, I think, a few in Rust as well as Kotlin.
Yeah, just let me get in there directly, because you know I studied computer science in it was the 90s of the last century, and so what is Flutter?
Well, Flutter is a framework. It's built by Google, and the main idea is to be able to build one application which will then be native on both iOS, Android, and then eventually on the web and on any other platform.
Okay, so this is a Google thing, but not necessarily an Android thing. So this is not connected.
Well, it's open source, and it uses Google's Dart language,
Okay.
which is fairly underutilized. But and what it does is it basically takes the Dart code and compiles it down to native bytecode for the platform that you're building it on.
Oh, cool. This is not too bad. And is this fairly new? Is this a new kind of programming language that's coming along, or is this already tested and sound and?
Well, let's see. So Dart has been out since I think 2011, and Google uses it for their AdSense program, which is I think is their largest program.
Oh, okay.
But Flutter is still technically in beta, even though it's production ready.
So exactly, Flutter is building up on Dart.
Yeah, it's built on top of Dart.
Ah, okay. So understood now. So what funny things you can do with Flutter that you cannot do with Python, or cannot do that easy with Python?
Well, I mean, it has a lot of really nice interop with a lot of the frameworks and libraries that you get on Android and iOS.
Oh, okay.
And because Dart is naturally more multi-threaded than any of those native languages, it can be a bit more performant than many of the other native applications.
So now we're getting to it. So it's kind of optimized into the way of being multi-threaded, basically directly out of the box, or how should I think about this?
Well, Dart uses what are called isolates, which are a bit like actors from Erlang or Scala.
Okay.
And the idea is that when you create a Flutter application, it automatically will run on 4 native threads by default.
Cool.
And you can, of course, expand on that if you want to.
So default is 4 threads. This is quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah, so it takes a lot more. It takes advantage of the ARM processor a lot better than some of the other native ways of doing things.
Cool. So this is yeah, exactly, more for ARM processors, like Kraylan is just saying. But it's not only more for the ARM processors, no?
Well, yeah, in theory, it should be able to work on literally anything. So it's sort of like, in a way, it's sort of like a competitor to WebAssembly.
Not bad. Well, actually, like I said, I studied in the 90s, and I know a lot of things, but I managed my way through Dart and Flutter in preparation of this show. But before that, I didn't even know they existed. So where's the main point? Where's the punchline? You know, what can we say about Flutter and Dart that we cannot say about anything else?
Well, the main selling point that Google's been pushing is this idea of just building one application and then deploying to multiple different platforms. So, for instance, when you create an Android application, typically you need to create an iOS code base if you want to create an iOS application as well. And so with Dart, you just make one code base, and then you can have both of these applications working perfectly fine.
So this is a lot about efficiency, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about rather than rewriting the same app like multiple times, you just have to write it once.
Yeah, that's cool. that's really cool. But Bucky is really saying what I also wanted to ask you again, because you said that Dart is underutilized, and why would you say that?
Well, the reason I say that is because when Dart came out, it sort of had this weird stigma attached to it. People sort of thought it was going to replace JavaScript as like Google's proprietary language, even though it was open source. Because originally they were going to put the virtual machine inside of Chrome. And actually they did that eventually anyway. But yeah, there was a huge backlash from the community saying, oh, yeah, we don't want to get rid of our horrible JavaScript. But, you know.
Ah, okay. So there was, let's say, kind of this feeling from the JavaScript community that this may be the next, or that they want to integrate this into Chrome, and therefore this would be the new JavaScript, and they all would now have to learn something different. obviously.
Yeah, basically. But the thing is that the Dart language is more of a general purpose language. It's not really just focused on client-based applications. So I don't really think it would have been a replacement so much as just a utility that you could use along with JavaScript.
Yeah, but on the other hand side, you know that fear is is also a very strong motivation inside of people. So obviously, it was seen that way, even though it was maybe not meant that way.
Yeah, no, I know.
So
So yeah, after that happened, the language kind of got buried by a bunch of different people, even though Google has been using it a lot internally.
yeah, and obviously it's quite good because from an efficiency point of view, if I hear that, sorry, but from being on a management perspective, having only one code base to maintain and having only one code base to, well, you know, all the bug fixings and all the things going along, this is kind of super efficient, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. As a developer myself, somebody who's worked for many different companies, uh, having one solution for multiple different platforms is a huge deal.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. So now just some from my team are entering. I don't know if you've seen it on the video, but obviously the festivity downstairs is expanding to upstairs as well. So oh, and I see Ilana has entered as well. So Tenza, if you don't mind, I'm just pulling her into the show as well. Hey Ilana, and you need to unmute if you want to talk with us. Sorry, Tenza. So Google is quite heavily using this language and Flutter as well. But what can you say about Flutter? Is it a framework that is just built on top of Dart?
Well, okay, so Flutter has some bindings in C++. I believe the rendering engine was built with C++, and then the rest of it is all pure Dart.
Okay. Ilana, can you talk with us for one short second? Yeah, you well, yes, you missed.
I was sure it was going to be in like 20 minutes. Why is it off in my calendar? My calendar says it starts in another 20 minutes.
Ilana, don't shout at us. It's not our fault. And you are super loud. You're super loud.
I've been told that. I'm allowed.
No. Yes, you are, but you're allowed today from a microphone perspective. So just don't shout at us, okay?
Okay, I'm so sorry I'm late. I'm really sorry I'm late. And it's I swear to you, my calendar says that I have another 20 minutes before
just like
there. How is that possible?
Yeah, Globo, she's super good live, and we're super happy to have you. And we're in the middle of the interview that we're doing for Tenza. So, but nevertheless,
I'm gonna go back to being
no.
right here.
No. Ilana, it's all cool. We're super happy to have you. Happy to have you. I don't know if you have already seen that Germany lost today, and that this is maybe, I don't know, getting on me in the later stage of the show, in the one or the other way. So obviously, if you're a kind of soccer fan, you should know that Germany lost today, and we are not going to survive the group phase of the World Championships. I don't promise, but I try to make it the last time that I'm mentioning this. I actually
found out because my mom told me. I was at dinner with my mom, and I just came back, and she was like, "Did you hear Germany lost?" And I was like, "What? What were they playing?"
Yeah, football.
So,
it's not.
Yeah.
It's not that important. Let's get back to and you are super happy. I am super happy if you just step in if you got some questions to ask, some interesting comments to make, because as we all know, you are a vital part of the show, and we are happy to have you here. So, Tenza,
and I'm so sorry I'm late.
Don't worry.
It will not happen again.
No. Don't worry. Like Bucky said up there 5 comments ago, this is the start of the 1 hour show, but just don't let's not talk about it, it's just all good. Tenza, I'm just
Yeah.
crapping. Sorry for having interfered now, but I really am happy that now Ilana is back. And as a developer, I'm getting back to the question that Bucky was asking further or right now. You're working for many organizations, and how are you working with many open source projects as a part of your work, or how is this from a work point of view?
Absolutely. I guess for those of you who don't know, I'm sort of a freelancer / consultant, I guess.
Oh, maybe we can take this even one step back in time. So who are you anyways? You don't need to talk about names and things, but who are you from an education point of view?
All right. So back in the 90s, I got a master's in chemical engineering. And then as soon as I got out of college, I started working for a research company that was making a piece of software for chemistry-related purposes. And that kind of went belly up when the .NET crash happened.
Oh, yeah, we know that crash.
And during that time, I started my own company, and then I just kind of said, fuck it, after that didn't work out. Excuse my language.
Don't worry. It's late and Flugschwein is not on yet. So I think we are grown-ups. I hope.
All right.
Did I miss the first F-bomb drop? Did I miss the
No,
first F-bomb?
no. This was the first F-bomb.
Oh, good. I wouldn't want to miss the first. It's important. Every show has to have the first F-bomb.
Oh, I'm
and
so...
it wasn't mine yet again.
No. It was
mine yet again.
No, it's impressive. So two times in a row, and you didn't make the F-bomb. Ilana,
It's almost like I'm growing up. It's almost like I'm going through something, you guys.
Go
on.
I'm so happy that you're back, really. But Tenzo, sorry for this F-bomb thingy. Just
it's cool.
Sorry. Go on. We didn't want to interrupt you.
So anyway, I had some strong feelings about that. That's why I dropped the F-bomb.
Yeah, strong feelings are good.
After that happened, sorry.
Strong feelings are good.
Yeah, they are. Anyway, so after that happened, I kind of got all twisted up in like the sort of bureaucracy of the academia that I was trying to work in. And I just said, forget this. I'm going to go try and do my own thing. And prior to all that, I had learned a lot of programming in college as well as before college. And I decided just, you know what, that's the skill I want to use. And I just happened to start to learn a bunch of technologies, and that became my strength, I guess, as a developer.
Well, technologies and learning technologies is obviously absolutely a strength, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, so now I go basically from company to company, and I either teach their developer team how to use a certain piece of technology if they need it, or I, help develop whatever they're working on.
Yeah, so perfect. That's quite good. So you're a freelancer / consultant, and without too much questions about what you're actually doing, because maybe there is a non-disclosure agreement.
I can tell you if you want.
Oh yeah, please.
So one of the companies I was just working for was a banking company, and we were working on their system. And that was sort of a pain in the butt because they had a big fire and then they got hacked and a bunch of other stuff happened. But it was an interesting project from like a technology perspective. We were using a stack that included Smalltalk and Elixir, which was sort of a unique mixture.
Okay.
But and then currently...
But being a pain in the ass, this is really something that you like to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then let's see. So the other one that's sort of ongoing is working with a research company to build a language for quantum computers using Common Lisp. So we're building
Okay.
sort of
This sounds very
guess-
interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting project, something I've never really taken on, and I had to sort of sit down and refresh my mind on quantum mechanics to get into it.
I would have definitely to do the same thing, and maybe twice or thrice the time you did. Yeah, me too, Bucky. Actually, me too.
Well, every day, I sit down and I have to go through some of this stuff to relearn it. But yeah, it's a lot of meta programming. So we use the macro system that's built into Common Lisp to essentially rebuild these concepts that don't make sense in conventional computing. So like because the idea of like a qubit, it can have multiple different positions, whereas a normal byte can only have two. We have to account for these, sort of strangeness that happens in the quantum world versus, the micro world.
Which is kind of crazy. I didn't intentionally. Now this is going to Globo, the manager of all this, what's happening here, the wizard of sound and the wizard of everything that is keeping MSP waves together. Did I still go up in volume? Or is everything cool? Or just my guests go up? Sorry to interrupt, Tenza, because this was really interesting, and we are going back to get there at the minute. But if Globo is telling me my volume went up, you're shaking your head. Nah, you're good now. Okay, maybe I just shouted because today I'm very emotional,
Yeah, I hear you.
Super emotional. So sorry for that. Yeah. Sorry, Lana. I'm trying to be cool now. Okay, Tenza, tell me about what? Okay, it's either on or off. This is what they told me back in computer science school. So you can have a current, or you can have no current. But in quantum mechanics, obviously, there is strangeness as well.
So rather than bytes where you have either on or off or a 1 or a 0, you have qubits.
Okay, but this is sounding complicated, isn't it?
Well, it's very complicated, and I had no intention of going into this before, but I guess I will now, right?
Yeah, well, at least a bit, just to make us, all ooh-ah, saying something like, ooh, what is this tensor knowing and that I don't know, how awesome you are. So just a bit, maybe. Yeah,
sure.
Exactly, Bucky. Just give us a taste how this greatness is tasting like,
So qubits can sort of be represented with a linear combination. So depending on how many you have more states that you can have. It's kind of it's kind of hard to explain without going into the actual science of what's going on. But essentially, as you get more qubits, you have more different state changes that you can have with those particular pieces of data. So obviously, this is a lot different from just conventional computing. So we have to build the language from scratch.
This still sounds very complicated because it somehow freaks out the normal mechanics that a programming language has, no? Or
Absolutely.
Or am I just not getting it right? Because it's quite yeah, okay. Just a normal programming language is used to this convenience that either it's on or off, all these bit things that is happening. And this is obviously not the case in quantum mechanics.
Yeah, exactly. So like for instance, say you wanted to use like a for loop, like you just couldn't do that with quantum mechanics, or with a quantum computer rather. You would have to like account for many different ideas, which I'm not really gonna go into.
No, don't just not explode our heads, It's obviously it's very cool stuff that you are doing on your work. But what are you doing for us? So you have been, I don't know, you said you have done 90 or so video tutorials, mostly about Flutter and Dart, no?
Yes, so I've submitted 90 videos. I think 60 of which are Flutter, and the rest are like Dart, Rust. Let's see.
Wait.
Recently,
There was one thing called Rust. I know a game called Rust. That's quite cool because it's a survival game where you, I don't know. But this is not what you talking about, no?
No, I'm talking about the Rust programming language. And trust me, I know about that game as well, because every time I search Rust on Google, I end up running into pages from that game.
Yeah, obviously, because this is for sure more known than a programming language. But what is Rust about? Is it something like Dart? Is it something similar?
So Rust is a more low-level language. It was created by Mozilla, and it's sort of like a replacement for, well, not a replacement, but sort of a version of like C++ that has like functional ideas built onto it, as well as some interesting new ideas that haven't really been used in other languages.
Oh well, this sounds quite interesting because Mozilla obviously is one of the biggest, not one of the biggest, but it's part of the biggest open source things that are currently around. But yeah, exactly. I just follow what Bucky is telling me to follow.
Yeah.
What can Rust be used for generally?
Okay, so usually systems programming, but recently they've done a lot of stuff with WebAssembly. So I kind of think that Rust is sort of leading the way in that respect. It seems to be the most mature language to build WebAssembly with currently. So a lot of people are doing, client-side applications and web applications with Rust in this way.
Oh well, this doesn't sound too much different to whatever you have for full stack programming languages currently. I don't know, Angular, Node, whatever, some kind of JS. Or am I misleaded somehow? Am I not seeing the whole picture?
Okay, so WebAssembly itself is it's essentially just a bytecode system that can be run on top of a bunch of JavaScript engines.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is, and it's actually a little misleading to call it WebAssembly, the idea is to eventually have it run on any virtual machine anywhere. So you could take any programming language, compile it down to WebAssembly, and then just build it anywhere else.
This is again a lot about efficiency, isn't it?
Yeah, no, this is kind of, it seems to be where computers or at least software is going. It's this whole idea of let's build it once and just be done with it.
Yeah, which would be impressive if you can do it. If you can pull this off, just build it once and just let's run it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And Rust itself, so if you ever use Mozilla's browser, then you've used something that uses Rust. Their entire cascading style sheet engine inside of that browser is built in Rust.
Oh, didn't know that. Cool. I learned a lot of things today. Should maybe talk to you more often. Or yeah, this is all. Listen to all the videos that you already did. But I a bit. In order to prepare for the show, I normally take a view what the people are doing, and you are not doing that much about Rust anymore, are you?
No, so I haven't touched Rust in about a few months, mainly because I went into Flutter and Dart. But essentially, the idea of my channel was always to just kind of focus on these underrepresented technologies that I generally like to use, and then sort of create nice and they're not really planned tutorials. They're just live coding sessions that I restructure and sort of make into a more neat package. So a lot of these have been, actually with Rust, I started doing sort of a fundamentals series, and I haven't really done that with another language before then. So,
Well, you know what I really like, because on the one hand side, I like a lot of scripted things, where the original script was this and that, and then you're doing this and that, and in the end it comes out this and that. But on the other hand side, these live coding sessions, they do have their own flavor to it, because you don't exactly know how the thing is going to be like. And this is exactly what is much more to my convenience, or to my where I can identify more with than these strange things where everything happens like you planned it to. So if you are recording something where you are coding live, and actually we can see, or everyone can see what you're doing, and maybe you're running into a wall that you didn't think of something before, this is much more where you can learn things, At least for
I
me.
agree with you. It definitely helps people understand the thought process, but at the same time, it's kind of hard for new viewers to sort of see that it's live coding, because I do a lot of clever jump editing and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. This is technique, but on the end, this is really where I learn best. Is, well, maybe okay. I'm not a story. I'm not getting into the thing right now, but on the other hand side, when I can see a bit of what you have been thinking to do, this is helping. Yeah, but just Bucky, you're right, and you're throwing the great questions today. What's next for you on Utopian? What are you going to show us?
Of course, more video tutorials, but actually recently I've been working on the back end, or not the back end, the front end they're going to release soon for Utopian. So I've been sort of helping develop that, though very minorly. I don't really have much time to spare, unfortunately. Then aside from that, of course, more video tutorials on more different subjects. And
Tenza, can you already tell us when it's going to be released, or is this something that you cannot tell?
What are you talking about? The front end?
Yes, I'm talking about the front end, the magic front end, that it's going to bring.
I don't know when they're going to release the Utopian front end.
Me neither. Bucky, do you know? Bucky, when S4M, when are we going to release the front end?
I think it was supposed to go into beta sometime actually ago, so I don't know.
Bucky knows nothing. That's cool, because I would have typed the same thing actually. If asked, I know nothing. Just ask S4M or Diego. I don't know. At least it's done when it's done, because that's for sure. We are not. Yes, Fem knows, and he's writing. I can see it in my Discord. Yeah, this is the we know nothing show, but we sound great. Well, we know nothing.
Well, maybe I shouldn't have gone into that.
No. It's all cool. Don't worry. We're just making. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's going into beta, and soon, and then we see that it works. No, it's all good. In the end, for sure, we are all happy if we are having another front end for Utopian that is going to be supporting us in contributing to open source software in a nice and convenient way for all of us. So for the managers on the other hand side that are going to apply their rules to our contributions, and for us as well in trying to make our contribution easy. So don't worry, SPM, it was not meant in a bad way. Yeah, Tenza. So another, you're going to go into detail on Flutter and Dart in your video contributions for Utopian in the next days.
Well, I've got a few more Dart, or rather Flutter projects to cover, and then I'm just sort of going into Dart now. So should be I don't know, month's worth of content there, and then I'm probably gonna start to move back towards Rust for some WebAssembly type videos.
Perfect. So, on the other hand side, since this is not a super easy thing to deal with, but on the other hand side, I do not want to, I don't know how many developers with I don't know how many questions to your address. Are you about to help people as well in doing things, and how is this conducted, or am I asking too much and you just don't want to take everybody by the hand?
All right, so I have a Discord channel, which I still have yet to really set up, but you can still go in there and ask questions if you want to. And you can also leave comments on the videos, and I generally comment on all of them at least within a day.
So you have noticed that yeah, exactly. The link for a Discord is the one thing, and yeah, I have been quite cautious in approaching that topic because I know that this can be quite a huge amount of work in asking or in answering all those questions that have been asked to you, and we all don't want to be a burden in all our questions, but for sure it's super fun and of great value if you are having a Discord channel that you are looking at and where you are answering questions.
Well, see, I'm trying to find the link. I'll put it in the chat later. And,
yeah. Don't stress yourself because you can do it later on. Yes, Rivals. Today the first of our guests is Tenza, and we're already 25 minutes into the talk. But since Bucky is recording it, you can have a look at an ear. I don't know. A look is easy for me, but since I'm no native speaker, I don't know how you're going to say that. You're going to listen to it later on, with all the things that Tenzer already said about all those cool programming languages, where he's actually doing video tutorials about. Oh, you're level 22, Bucky! My goodness. Yeah, you can do that. It's definitely worthwhile. So in the end, you are no witness. There is nothing that we can really promote now except all the great video tutorials that you're doing with Utopian on the Steam platform for now, Tenza. You still around?
Oh, there, Bucky got ahead of me.
Okay, so you're still searching. Yeah. Bucky, he's quite fast. He's looking old on that picture, but don't take this too serious because. Yeah, you are. This is a picture where he's looking like, oh yeah, I could be your granddad, and I'm not going to do that, you know. But he's lightning fast, and what if I'm turning around once, he's already ran from Germany to Newfoundland and back. So yeah, that's basically quantum F-bombs incoming. Hi article Dan. Yeah, it's really busy, but it didn't go down the feed way of things yet, which is quite okay for me. Okay, Tenza, thanks a lot for you being on the show, and thanks a lot for you sharing with us all the great things that you're doing in your professional and your kind of semi-professional way, because actually I think that working for open source software? Do you deem yourself? Is this part of your professional life, or is this part of your private life? How do you think about that? This is quite interesting to me.
It's a mixture of both, really. My hobbies are generally computer related.
Yeah, mine as well.
Aside from a few things, but yeah, I mean, I'm generally working all the day, you know, because I really enjoy it. So
yeah, same here. But my people are always talking to me about, hey, and when do you have your private or so how do you distinguish between your private and your work life? And if talking about open source software, this is really complicated for me. Yeah, but it's I'm glad that it's complicated for you as well. Okay, so any famous last words, Tenza, that you want to direct at the audience? Or just...
Well, thanks for having me on this show, and if any of you guys want to learn some languages, come find me.
So this is something that I, as being part of the audience in this moment, would take very serious, because Tenza is obviously being part of great contributions on the one hand side for Utopian. On the other hand side, he's being part of, or he is currently part of, a great development in quantum computing on the other hand side. So if you guys are interested in that, get onto him, get on his nerves, and he has his own Discord channel, so he allowed us to ask questions, so just go for it, get the best out of it, and I'm sure Tenza is happy to help, and we are happy to have Tenza in Utopian or contributing to Utopian IO, and on the other hand side, within the Utopian community as well, because this is actually what we are made of. This is actually where we are good at, in bringing people together like Tenza, like a lot of other people, with great skill in one or many technical fields. Or non-technical. I know, Ilana, that you are crying at home now because it's not technical necessarily what you are doing. But this is
actually I love listening to this. I pasted a video before, and actually I heard it playing in my head as Tenzer was talking. It's Symphony of Science. It's called The Quantum World, and it's like an auto tune of scientists talking about quantum physics, and I love listening to it, and I love listening to stuff I don't understand, because it gives me maybe a false sense of security that I might understand some of it, you know. My name is just that. I love technical stuff. I love all this things that suddenly thinking, okay, wait, what if computing wasn't binary? What if we had all these different abilities, all these different options, all these different states? What if we could have, like, I remember writing back in my journalist days about the Chinese trying to use quantum internet, sending molecules to satellites to create a quantum internet or something like that. I'm probably completely messing it up in tensors, and I'll look like face palming listening to me.
No.
Oh, sorry, that was quantum entanglement. My husband is pointing out that was quantum entanglement internet, and I thought that was amazing. That was totally awesome. And to know that, you know, there's people out there working on something like that, and in like 20 or 30 years we'll have quantum speed internet, and you will have no bandwidth issues. Can you imagine that?
No, I cannot, actually, because I just you're Ilana, I don't know how you're doing that, because I don't know how many thousands of miles or kilometers or whatever is between us. But you know what? I just now, in the moment, I took a look at my drop frames rate and my statistics, and I thought, hey, it isn't too bad for my sucking bandwidth and connection and everything. And then in just right in that moment where I thought, oh yeah, it's not too bad, you're again picking at my sucking bandwidth. This is
No, it won't be. It'll stop being bad. Quantum entanglement internet, man. Tensor's working on it, right?
yeah,
Not just
yeah.
the Chinese. Tensor, help us out here.
No,
I'm
obviously,
not actually working on entanglement, but sure.
I don't know. Tensor, if you are working on my better bandwidth, I'm giving you, I don't know how many 100% upvotes I have on this blockchain, because it's really sucking. But on the other hand side, Ilana, this was great again. How did you imagine that I was just right now looking up the statistics of my OBS stream?
I know things.
Yeah, but this is
do.
yeah, but I don't know if this is making me feel comfortable or not. Need to think about that. Anyways. Well, Tensor, you are just simply the quantum mechanics computer god that obviously, I don't know, became human. For now, until proved otherwise. If this is okay for you, it's okay for us as well. And this is
Sure, why not?
and this is a base where I didn't bring it onto right now, but obviously you're quantum sexy as well, which I cannot say, but since Ilana is obviously female, she can, and she did. So even that, yeah, but just people out there, don't listen too much to what we said in the last 5 minutes, because when Ilana and me are going into this bantering kind of mode, there is not too much intelligent things coming along, but there is a lot of fun coming along. Just if you want to go back 5 minutes before, go to Tensor, and if you are interested in quantum mechanics and quantum computing, go to Tensor, and if you are interested in Flutter and Dart and Rust, go to Tensor in this Discord channel, asking questions, help supporting open source software with us, with Utopian IO, and in the end, do it for us all. This is what we're talking about now. Oh, quantum slot. This is now getting at a complete different level, Codex. Okay, just
that would have been my second choice if TechSlut was taken, but I am TechSlut on Twitter, Instagram, and Steemit, so I'm really lucky it wasn't taken here. Also, I own the .com, so I'm really lucky it wasn't taken on it, and I did net up as a quantum slut. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, it would have also been great. So Tensor, thanks a lot for being on the show. Thanks a lot for the long time of chat that we had without being interrupted by Diego or put to the wall of time by Diego or anything that has to do with Diego. And thanks a lot for all the cool contributions that you're doing for helping us getting to know these programming languages that we have been talking about. Yeah, great. And zack, there it is, the Tensor programming Discord as well. And I'm going to put join later on, because else I will be moved out now of my Discord, and this will just simply distract me completely. Thanks a lot for you being on the show, and it was a pleasure having you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Like I said, a pleasure. Okay, Ilana, my dear, I know you have been thinking that we have just started 30 minutes ago, but we didn't, and I'm not going down that road once more. It was just the one time that I do this. My dear, open source news, there was a lot of interesting things that you put down in the news section of the posting that I just did. So yeah.
And actually I have another one.
Yeah,
I have
go
another
on.
one. It's completely fresh. It's like 3 hours old. And the Linux Foundation just published that Google became a platinum member of the Linux Foundation, demonstrating its commitment to the open source community, yada, yada, yada. They now have a Googler as a committee member of the foundation, and it's someone named Sarah Novotny, who is the head of open source strategy for the Google Cloud platform. But what is interesting here is the timing. Remember how everybody was like, "Wow, Microsoft is buying GitHub, yada yada yada," and now Google is like, "We're here. Don't worry. We love open source more than Microsoft. Look, we're throwing a bunch of money at the Linux Foundation, and we now have a seat on their board of directors." And they're not the only ones joining the Linux Foundation. Some smaller companies joined, like Tencent, which is a Chinese telecommunication giant that also joined as a Linux Foundation member. And there's a pretty good reason that people are interested in Linux, because it's currently one of the most in-demand skills for people looking for a job in programming at all. Open source skills, and specifically Linux, are very, very profitable today. So if you're looking to learn something new, that's your direction. I'm gonna give you some links. That was actually on the list of news that I sent you, but let me just drop you some links in the channel here.
You know what?
Yes.
I just took a look what I posted yesterday as being the announcement for the 5th episode that we are currently doing, and obviously I don't know how it happened, because I was posting this in the car being on the way to the airport. It happened that I posted not the open source news that you were just saying about, but it's my question sentence to you. Hey Lana, are you going to post here the news that you want to talk about? Yeah, I just fixed it, but it's 5 minutes ago. So
no one knows. No one knows. No one noticed. And if you hadn't said anything, no one would have known anyway.
Yeah, but it's a blockchain. It's a blockchain, it's kind of blockchainy thing. You can all.
Yeah, it is a blockchainy thing.
You can what I've done wrong, because you saw what I did right now. So
it's all good.
No, this is the honest this is the honest radio show where we're not lying. We're
all open.
Yeah, exactly. So badly this happened, and it's forever on the blockchain codex. Totally right on that. Yeah, so sorry for that, but I fixed it now. Thanks a lot. So Ilana, I didn't want to interrupt you, but you said something about a competitor for DTube. What is that about?
It's an open source alternative to YouTube, because nobody, the big world doesn't know enough about DTube. It's not popular enough yet, unfortunately, as an alternative to YouTube. PeerTube, on the other hand, which is a new player on the block, they're not paying anyone. They're just using WebTorrent instead of IPFS to share videos. They're based in France. They had a crowdsourcing campaign to allow them to develop the platform, and I'm not quite sure how they're going to monetize it yet, but I think it's cool that it's open source, and there are more alternatives to YouTube coming out, because YouTube is censoring a lot. So it's good that there are alternatives, and especially ones that you can fork into something of your own, because it's open source.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it's Bucky and me were just giving names in the chat. So it's PeerTube. You just posted a link there.
Yeah, PeerTube.
Okay. I didn't even know about that, but yeah, this is quite happening often lately. Things are evolving so fast that you don't know. On the other hand, they're evolving and dying so fast. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to pick those things out that really are making that are staying, because in the end there are a lot of things happening, but there are not that many things staying where they are, or even improving with further bandwidth, with further marketing leads, whatever.
I think that from my professional perspective, as someone who's worked as a tech journalist and been observing technology for many years, I think that the direction of just decentralized video streaming is the right direction. It's where we're going. PeerTube, DTube, IPFS, WebTorrent, whichever means of decentralization you use, the better it is. Yeah, of course, people are going to use it for adult content or whatnot, but having a place that is censored only by the people who are willing to continue sharing that file or not, that is your censorship. The censorship will be the download speed of the content and the view and your ability to view it, because if it's bad, people just won't save it and then won't share it, and then you won't be able to stream it. So I think that platforms like DTube and PeerTube and other platforms that don't necessarily store the files for streaming on some kind of cloud platform or whatever, I think that this is the future of communication, on video communication, because it's decentralized and it'll be honest and a lot more effective, both in terms of data storage and bandwidth, like international bandwidth and so on.
Yeah, this sounds really like the way that things are, at least seem to be going right now. I agree. I cannot agree more. Yeah, but let's see. This is quite fresh, isn't it? Because I didn't even hear of that project. So
that's not a blockchain. There's no blockchain.
No.
Why do you need a blockchain for?
No. I didn't hear of that project. Sorry for my bad
project. I heard blockchain.
Sorry for the bad pronunciation of mine.
Yeah, but they've only now really announced, because like I saw that their PR has been doing the rounds. So they only now just announced a product that is something they can show people. So I guess they've been working on it for a while. It's now starting, and they're not the only ones. So
no.
PeerTube are doing pretty good PR at this point as an alternative to YouTube. DTube are doing okay-ish PR as an alternative to YouTube, but I think that it's these decentralized video platforms, regardless of blockchain or not blockchain, this is where people should pay attention.
I agree. Codex, you already tested, or is this just something that you know, that the interface is not anywhere near YouTube's? Because, like I said, this is coming completely new to me. No, this is, yeah, this is something that I agree to. So the interface needs to be, robust, easy to use, and it needs to be, I don't know, you need to be able to do complex tasks with it with a lot of easy one clicks with your left mouse button. So yeah, that's basically what is going to divert between being a good idea and being really successful in the end. I completely agree. Yeah, but like Bucky said, this is the basic is that many talented devs are really, really bad at UI or do not care at UI, which is in the end the entrance door that you're having for your customers. And yeah, this is the most important thing that you have to do right. If you're doing this right, then it can get super successful. Yeah, so, but sorry, Ilana, I didn't want to interrupt you with this PeerTube thing, because obviously this is very interesting, and maybe we should even reach out from our point of view, or from our utopian point of view, and just try to see what we can do in talking to those guys, trying to help them.
Either them or their competitors. That, you know how it is. They're not. I don't remember. Is DTube open source or not?
I'm in danger. Always wanted to do it open source somewhere, but I don't know if he already did it.
Because if it
Oh,
if it
Tensor.
is, well, thank you, Tensor, thank you. Well, in that case, it's a shame that he's not in the audience right now, because this would be my my chance to say, you can make this huge. You can put it on a whitelist and use our community of marketers to just really get a lot more eyes on it, because it has a lot of potential. And it deserves just as much attention, if not more, than this new YouTube alternative, all about taking back control, yada yada yada. But they're not offering anybody money. I don't think they have any kind of monetization scheme for content creators at this point. So DTube has an advantage, and they should, totally market that stuff.
I totally agree. So maybe we should. Yeah, like I said, and Tensor's for sure right. That there is things open source already for DTube. I know that there has been a discussion going on with I'm in Danger, if it's completely open source now or not. If it is, I would really definitely appreciate if we would definitely do something about getting the thing forward, marketing it, broadening the audience and everything that you can think of, because it's great, and it's for sure the next, or the thing where this contribution and where video content creators are going to look at, and you can be in or you can be out. This is basically not a question purely decided by technology, but decided by UI and decided by marketing, which is basically more or less what Ilana is great about. Well, at least at marketing. Don't know. Do you have UI skills, Ilana?
Some. I have some UI skills, but I also cheat because my husband's a graphic designer. So
this helps.
Yeah, so it really does. It really, really does. So when I'm trying to build a UI or like user experience.
Oh, yes.
It's not exactly user experience. I can do that. I can really plan well.
Really?
I'm brilliant at. Yes.
Look at the smiley I'm posting, because this is the bane. Yeah, I totally agree, Tenza.
What Bucky's saying is that UI needs to be incorporated into the graphics category. Yes and no. A user interface is a graphic component, but UX is not a graphic component. A user experience is about the experience. It's about what you not only what you see, it's about what you hear, it's about how it interacts with you.
Yeah, it's the experience you're having, and it's guiding you from one way to the other, you know?
Experience. It's a brand experience.
Yeah.
Your brand has a certain path that your user is going through, from registration to purchase or to subscription or whatever your path is. Yes, exactly. Psychology and marketing. And I've always lived on that edge between technology and marketing, because I find that to be the most fascinating aspect of both, how technology can be used to market and how market can be used to make technology better. So from that aspect, yes, I do understand user experience. I'm not a graphic designer, so UI is less my expertise, but that's why, like, I cheat. I have a husband to do it.
Yeah, well, not everybody has a husband to do it, or a wife the other way around, you know. It's just not necessarily need to be a husband, but in the end, not everybody has one.
It's about being in enough relationships with enough good people. Yeah, it is. My husband is he's an ERP application.
Yeah, Bucky, I'm thinking the same thing. There is a lull in my head, you know, about being in a lot of relationships with a lot of, you know, and then saying something about husband.
And then you have a skill set in the house. My other significant other is a Java developer.
I have an axe in the house, which is also good for something. But it's maybe not.
I have a baseball bat.
Okay, this helps.
Right behind my computer screen, and if you don't believe me, I will post a selfie to the channel with my pink baseball bat that I keep behind the computer screen.
I don't know. I really don't know if this is. Are there only grown-ups in, so maybe you can, but you shouldn't know. There is youth. We are educating.
It's a children's pink baseball bat that I just keep around because I like pink stuff.
Oh yeah, no.
That's just my like.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry for interrupted you. Didn't want to do that.
No. I'm just looking for to pose with my baseball bat.
Yeah. I guess so.
So yeah, but user experience when not involving a baseball bat is something that it really needs to be thought out, because what often happens, and this is something I'm seeing at a lot of open source projects, is that there's some kind of really brilliant technology there, something so super awesomely genius that is not being made into an experience for the user, and that's just like missing something very substantial and very crucial, because the developers don't understand why people aren't using the product. And then I just tell them, listen, you have a technology, not a product. You need to create the experience.
I'm totally with you because
so basically user experience is the difference between a technology and a product.
I'm totally with you because this is basically where a lot of cool projects and products and code lines and everything, they are in the end ending up. This is some kind of ending up in this state where they are really fabulous from a technology point of view, and in the end they are not getting to the point because they are not marketed correctly or they are not having the user experience. I totally agree. No, Tenzer, you didn't act up like Diego. No. I was telling in the first premiere show that we are having from this kind of shows that Diego was putting or was telling so much, and he was taking up so much time that we didn't have enough time for Tenzer coming on. So we had him in this 5th episode, and now he thought about doing the same thing like Diego, but it was more like you coming along and talking with me. And I'm so super happy that Ilana is now around and she really made it for the 2nd hour of our show. This was meant totally honest. It was not an insult. It was totally honest. People out there.
I already told you who I'm blaming. There was a scheduling issue.
Yeah.
I told you who I'm blaming, and it's not my mom in the font.
No, I read it. No, it's legit. It's legit. I need to say it's legit. So she's blaming. Her blame is good. On the other hand side, now after having talked with Tenzer, we have a second guest in the show, which had a slot as an audience guest last week. And on the other hand side, he was telling so much interesting things that all the audience reacted about Gridcoin and all the projects that you can support. Jay Ringo, are you there? We would like to hear you.
Hello.
Hello. We do hear you. Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, I've actually been loving this conversation because we're in Gridcoin. We're doing a lot of UX UI design right now, trying to get the tech into a more palatable.
Oh, really? So you are?
Yeah, we just put out a proposal for a new GUI design that looks really, really nice and simplifies a lot of the experience for the user. We still don't know if that's going to pass or not, but been enjoying what you guys been talking about.
But yeah, then let's just dive directly into the topic. What means you don't know if it's going to pass or not? What does that mean?
Let's start at the beginning. So Gridcoin is a blockchain, right? It's proof of stake blockchain, and similar to Steam, in how Steam has its block producers, and they earn reward that way. We have a secondary incentive structure, like how Steam rewards content production. We reward people who contribute to scientific projects on Boink. So that's the main system, and then we also have a voting system in place. So when someone from the open source community has an idea, or a developer, a designer, anyone wants to get something done, they write up a proposal, put it in a vote, and it either gets passed or not.
Okay, so basically everybody who has a stake in Gridcoin can decide if something is passing or not. Is this correct?
Yeah, we're still fine-tuning the voting system. It's admittedly it's not perfect, but I mean this voting on the blockchain stuff is very complicated. If EOS has shown it's any.
Oh yeah, it is.
But yeah, your stake gives you voting power, and also how much computation you contribute to BOINC projects also gives you voting power. Well, that gives you magnitude, and then your magnitude, which is Gridcoin specific, gives you voting power.
Okay, this is quite interesting. So, as we have seen, I posted the link of BOINC, which is the basic software where all Gridcoin is relying upon. No?
For now, yeah. So BOINC has been around since the late 1990s, early 2000s, and crypto wasn't a thing back then. But what happened with Gridcoin, which has been around since 2013, is that the founding coders made this way to scrape data from a third party, aggregate that data, and then come to consensus on it through the node system that the blockchain provides. And they put that onto a blockchain. So currently we reward for BOINC, but it's very possible and likely that in the future we'll expand to other computing platforms outside of BOINC as well. But right now it's just BOINC.
Yeah, that's exactly the next questions where I want to go at. So right now it's only BOINC and the projects that you can contribute to using this platform, but it's not necessarily linked or restricted to that.
Yeah, we're completely unrelated. We have a lot of people in the community who have been BOINCing since the screensaver. I remember last week we were talking about the screensaver.
Yeah.
It's been around for ages. But yeah, nothing officially.
Oh yeah. You see now, Prepper Redman, he's actually asking these questions. Yeah, this is what Said I did back actually, and we have been talking about this in the last show. And we had this great old screensaver shots coming up, because these were the great times when you could watch what the computer was computing.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like you get off your computer and then you see the screensaver running and you just sit in the chair and watch it.
Exactly. I was leaning back at the time. I was in university back then, and I thought, oh well, this is massive. This is going to be a huge, well, at least amongst us nerds, it was a huge idea. And I was leaning back really and waiting for the screensaver to come along so that BOINC was computing, said I. Oh yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good old times. So this is where it all started. Said I at home basically was the initial project starting it. No.
Yeah, it was SETI at home, and there was the people who made that were also part of a community before that, a distributed computing community. I don't remember the name off the top of my head right now. But yeah, started with SETI, and then they ended up getting funding from NSF to build out BOINC, and they turned it into something that researchers and organizations and just regular, garage tinkerers, citizen scientists use throughout the year to get data crunched on a very large supercomputer when you add it all up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Actually, I wrote a contribution. No, not a contribution. I wrote a posting quite a while ago. I don't know, half a year maybe, where I was talking about Gridcoin and projects. This was a series I was doing back then in Steam. And I was talking about the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider in CERN. And basically what happened is that Lemouth from SteamStem said to me, oh, well, really, this is happening. Oh, I need to talk with the people at CERN. So he's a professor in I think in Paris, working there in physics. So he didn't even know that. So there is still a lot of marketing, actually, Ilana, that we need to do about that. Or what
man,
what
we
are
could
you
use your
thinking?
help.
If it's open source, it can be on the whitelist.
It
If it's on
is.
the whitelist, it can be promoted.
It is. At least this is what I was seeing last time I checked. That Gridcoin absolutely is open source. No, Sharingo.
Yeah, Gridcoin is open source. We have huge community. Boink is very large and open source, but also definitely needs some marketing help.
Well, you know where to find me. I'm here all day, every day, and I'll be happy to help. I've done so much marketing for so many big brands and so many corporations. The fact that I get to do it now for open source projects with zero to no budget, and that are doing good things for the world. Yeah, this is what I'm about now. Talk to me. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Zero to no budget is sounding bad, but on the other hand, you're making it
That's the
sound
truth
cool.
about. But it's the truth about open source projects. The majority of them are people contributing from their free time, or whatever resources they have for a community, for a mutual goal. And I think that's awesome. And I really, really want to help that. And from what I see, there's a great shortage in marketers in this world. And there's only one me, but I'm happy to help whoever I can help.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this is really one project where I was really motivated from the beginning, because this is like us doing something good in the end, with all our computational power that we are getting along. I don't know. I have the 1080 Ti in my computer, so this could do a lot of more things right now, actually, than it's doing, because it's only projecting to monitor screens, and it can do so much more. And yeah, we all have these resources, or a lot of us has these resources around, and we are simply not using them. We're not leveraging on them. And this is actually where Gridcoin comes into play, or where the support of our cutting edge science comes into play, because this is what we're talking about. We are not talking about I don't know, third class. My goodness, Bucky, you just now distracted me completely. We're not talking about
I'm cracking up on mute. I'm just laughing like crazy here on mute.
I am totally, I don't know what to say, because obviously
It's wonderful. I love it. I love Bucky. I love your memes. I love these. I adore these, and I think that it makes the after show posts that Bucky makes, it just upgrades them. Last week we had our exhibition of the feet of Steemit. It was wonderful, you guys. The feet of Utopian. I have people of Utopian, and that was feet of Utopian. Yeah, kicking back. And every time there's something, and now we have the Quantum F-bomb team. I think we look great, don't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. We do look amazing, I would say.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Thank you, Bucky. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great job, Bucky. You just are really, I don't know, open source crime fighters. Yeah. Ringo, sorry for this interruption, but it was hilarious. Yeah, so we all can dedicate our computational powers, or the resources that we are having, to cutting edge science. So what's going on in Gridcoin community currently about, apart from this UI thing?
We're working on expanding the protocol, mostly building on top of it, and just making it a little more streamlined from a code side in particular. We have to. Yeah, I mentioned it came out 2013, and it was like 3 or 4 developers for a really long time. And now we have a team of different people who have been around for like a year and a half, and they're just putting work into bringing everything up to speed, getting all the protocols updated to the newest Bitcoin forks, Blackcoin, because those are our two forks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and other than that, just starting to evolve, starting to do the marketing, starting to really reach out and get more people involved with the community overall. That would really be where we're at right now.
Yeah, exactly. Because do you know there was Lemouth asked the SteamStamp community to come round to CERN to the LHC as a visitor, and I couldn't make it. I was really infuriated because I didn't have the time to go there. It was on a Friday, I think. But on the other hand side, this is where the great science is happening, and you can be either with SteamStamp or with Gridcoin or with a lot of other things. You can be part of it. You don't necessarily need to calculate things in math or whatever, but you just can donate your computational power just to help supporting it. This is what I understood. But on the other hand side, what about the big things? In Steam, you know, there's always the whales and what the whales are thinking. This is where Steam is turning to. How is this with this also proof of stake blockchain in Gridcoin? How is this? How is it there? Is this different because it's like an incentive that you're giving out? It's not the stake that is really mattering.
Well, it's weird because it's just like in any proof of stake blockchain, you do have people who have large stakes in it, and they contribute to producing blocks a lot of the time. But we have the secondary incentive structure where you can be sort of a whale of crunching. You don't have a lot of Gridcoin just because you bought it early or something, but you have a lot of processing power. It's like maybe you mine Ethereum or maybe you mine one of these other proof of work coins. And now you direct all that to Boink projects. So you now have a lot of what we call magnitude, and you are sort of a crunching whale. So you're putting a lot of work into science, and you're getting a lot of Gridcoin as a reward.
This is exactly what I was what I was trying to hint at. So you don't necessarily need, because it's a proof of stake blockchain, you obviously need to have some Gridcoin, but you don't necessarily need to have, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of it. But you can be, with this secondary incentive structure, you can be having a lot of computational power that you are leaning to, and you are nevertheless getting rewarded for it.
Yeah, it's one of the benefits of it, I see, because you don't need to buy into the system. You can participate in something. Like on Steam, you make good content and you end up getting Steam.
This is actually exactly the thing that I wanted to come to. So it's like posting on Steam. It's like getting into it, contributing and being part of it, and then you get rewarded for it.
Right, and they're major, like you were talking about earlier. They're fun projects, at least for like science nerds. Or there's also math projects out there, and there was there is a history project. So,
amicable numbers. I still don't know what they are doing.
It's something to do with numbers.
Yeah, it's amicable numbers, and you can do a lot of amicable numbers. So you go out there and do it if you want to, because in the end you're free where you're donating your power to, aren't you?
Yeah, there's a small, there's dozens and dozens of Boink projects, but there's a whitelist process for getting into the Gridcoin reward system. So we can't just accept any Boink project that gets made, because they can be made by literally anyone, which is a cool part, but also, opens up a little bit of a attack vector. So we have the whitelisting process where the projects that are whitelisted are the ones you get rewarded with. But they're all great projects, and it's really fun to contribute to this scientific stuff. When, like myself, I'm not a scientist, but I love science, and every once in a while, someone
exactly.
A giant prime number.
Exactly, I'm for sure. I had physics in my as a well, I studied computer science, and I had physics going along with it. I don't know how you're calling this in English. So I know a lot of things, but I'm so far away from being a scientist. Yeah, but I love science. It's exactly the way. And I can contribute now with Gridcoin. Oh yeah, your father is a physicist and your mother is a chemist.
I am a failed experiment. I'm a failed science experiment.
I would
but
have
actually,
never... I would have never gone down that road.
Actually, I wanted to ask. Let's presume I'm like a complete newbie. Let's presume I don't know anything about computers, but I think that it's a really cool idea to donate whatever computing power my shiny new laptop has to finding a cure for cancer or finding intelligent extraterrestrial life, because we've given up on terrestrial intelligent life or whatever. So how do I do that? Where do I sign up? How do I start? Because SETI was simple. I downloaded a file over dial-up. It took me forever, and then I ran it, and I had a username and a password. I think they still exist on Boink somewhere. How do I get started with Gridcoin? What do I do? Where do I go? Where do I click?
For now, you go to gridcoin.us, and there are some tutorials up there, and you download the Boink software and the Gridcoin wallet, and then you get going through that. And if you need help, we've got communities. We have a Discord server, Slack, Telegram. We're pretty active on Steemit too. But admittedly, the UX is a little complicated right now, and there are some issues that we're working out. And a lot of it has to do with Boink's side, because Boink also has a pretty complicated UX, but they actually just got NSF funding to simplify the UX. So we're very much looking forward to one of their new projects being developed that should simplify things a lot.
Actually, I tried it recently. Well, not recently, maybe a year ago, and it was quite complicated. But it got better. The last time I tried it, it was almost smooth. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Learning.
There is still, I think, a lot of room to improve, and a lot of marketing claims to make.
Oh yeah, there's so much. Yeah. Oh wow. Install this, then choose that, then do that, then oh my God.
Then click I don't
This
know
is
how
a
many
very-
buttons. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very complex. There's 4 steps, and that's a very complex funnel, and that requires a much simpler process than all this massive stuff I need to read now.
Yeah, the
there's a
website
lot.
in
Yep,
particular,
yep.
walls of text.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
one of the next things we hope
Where
to
is
work
it?
on.
Where is
that.
it too long? Didn't read. Yeah, and really, because in the end, who is going to survive that is only the really most motivated ones, just like me back then. So I did survive, and Rivals obviously too, and it took him 4 hours to setting it up.
4 hours.
Yeah, the first time, I think this is quite a good benchmark, Rivals. It's not too bad. Yeah, but there is still for sure a lot of room to improve. So to have this, I don't know,
4 hours.
2 clicks.
Windows, Linux doesn't take that long to set up.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
but
crazy.
Gridcoin's complicated right now. But
To be fair, I think he's talking about syncing the blockchain too,
yeah,
which
yeah,
does take time, just like any other block.
Oh, thinking a blockchain takes a while. That's a different story, but
Thank
But
you,
still,
it definitely takes
there's a lot
time.
of there's a lot of refinement to do in the onboarding process there, and that's an understatement. But then again, we've got Steemit, so bad onboarding experience can still create an amazing community that does stuff that is amazing.
Absolutely, Ilana. This is where I want to go to, because in the end, that I don't know how many. Right now, I think it's not weeks that we are waiting, but we have been. Some of us have been waiting weeks for getting the chance to post on Steemit with our normal account, and it was really a pain in the ass experience. But on the other hand side, this does not necessarily mean that everything that's happening here is shit. It's quite the contrary. Not with everything, but with a lot of things. So it's also the same thing about, in the end, who has had the endurance to go through all these walls of text that you back then needed to do in order to get Gridcoin installed and working, and Boink installed and working with the correct project connected to a pool that has been set up. So it's not that easy, but on the other hand side, this also gives us a bit of room to improve and to get things better. And Charingo, thanks a lot for bringing this onto this show. Is there anything that you want to point out the last 6 minutes that we are having? Because obviously we are almost hitting the wall again.
Yeah, I will. I do want to point out that we have how to phrase it. So we started as a proof of work cryptocurrency in 2013 and then we forked over to proof of stake. And when we did that fork, you had to claim your proof of work coins on the new chain. And during that process, there were a bunch of coins that weren't claimed, and any unclaimed coin went into a foundation wallet. So we now have a lot of community funding to pay developers and marketers and designers and anyone who would really want to contribute and get paid for it. So if you do want to contribute, reach out either to me on this Discord, or our social media platforms are up on the site. Developers get paid a flat rate of $60 an hour, and anyone else has to put a proposal together. But we do have funding to help pay for anyone who wants to contribute.
Well, and Utopian IO is also happy to support. So maybe
we are looking back into that too.
Yeah, exactly. So Ilana and you and I don't know who's now currently in the lead of Gridcoin should maybe get together and talk about how we can join up as a team in getting this forward.
Awesome.
I'm here. I'm always here. Not hard to find.
Yeah, and you're blinking with your pink hair. It's not. You're right. It's not that difficult.
It's hard to miss me. No matter, like, you look for me in the crowd, and I'm small. I'm like 1.56 m, but you always notice me in a crowd. I have pink hair and I move really quickly. So
and there
it's
was
not that hard to find me.
There was this meme going on last week, I think, where Claiborne said, it was a picture of you. Yeah, I remember. So, Che Ringo, it was super fun having you in the show and talking.
Yeah, thank you.
No, it was thanks to you. And talking to you has actually somehow, and to Ilana and Tenza and all the amazing guests that we had in the show today, has somehow killed our audience guests community interaction section, which we already did basically by talking to all of you and reacting to the cool chat that we are having going along in the audience chat on the MSP Waves Discord. On the other hand side, we were aligning some of our audience members already. For instance, Knowledge was around, but it's not any longer for talking with us like he did last time. Maybe we can have him next time on the show, because for sure he's having a lot of interesting things to talk about, utopian contributions. I really am sorry for not getting you on the audience, but we have had so many interesting talks about quantum computing, about what great questions Bucky always inserted into the audience chat, by the way, which is something that you can do as well. If you have, I don't know, cool questions, just put it into the audience chat. We are reading that all the time. Ilana, me, Bucky, everyone, and even the guests on our show, like Jay Ringo, like Tenzo, and we can react to that. This is not just radio like you're used to it when you are in the car and turning up your car radio, but this is like live, like being able to react, and this is things that we really love to do, being close to you and being reacting on the things that you really want to know. Tenza, good idea. This is something that I'm noting down directly. Maybe we are doing this with a special kind of marketing around, because quantum computing is something quite complicated. Yeah, it could put people to sleep. No, I read in my in some other Discord that obviously your voice is not sounding too bad and monotone. It was quite the contrary. But yeah, thanks a lot for all you people being around. Thanks a lot for Bucky for doing this great questioning thing, and for also recording the show. Thanks to Ilana for being around and being just awesome like every time. Thanks, Tenza.
Can I say a special thank you to
Yes,
Poet for
please.
stopping by, my beloved significant other, who I don't think has ever tuned in before. So I just wanted to say thank you
Great.
to him
Thanks,
for tuning
Poet.
in.
Thanks, Jay Ringo. Thanks, Tenza. Thanks, the great MSP Waves audience, and thanks to the tech staff.